Alright guys, another vlog from Honestly Sarcastic. So, recent events were, I guess Qui-Gon Kanan had won Kansas, and I could be mistaken this, but I believe R2-P2 won the Minnesota Fantasy Flight Games, like, regionals. That one had like 81 players, I guess, and the top 8 cut there should have been 5 Qui-Gon Kanans, 2 R2-P2s, and a Jabba Unkar deck. So I don't know the name of the group, but I know it has Jonathan Magnuson in it, who, from my understanding, is a very good player. I see him post stuff all the time. I believe he did very well at the previous Worlds. And then, so his group was running Swiftness, which is the 1-cost gray event that the next card you play gains Ambush. And it itself also has Ambush. And then they had Concentrate. And Concentrate is a 1-cost blue event that lets you switch one of your die to any side. You can then pay a resource and flip another of your die to any side. And now the thing here is that Concentrate is a very good combo card. Anyone that's seen me play like Han Ray knows that card could do bonkers stuff when it got an action cheat. So I inherited that originally from a guy called Ledin on TTS. I'm not claiming anything. I'm explaining so no one misunderstands that I'm sitting there saying like, oh, I use Concentrate. No, I don't care about any of that. Anyways, so Concentrate in combination with Swiftness is pretty amazing if your dice allow for it to be. What I mean by that is this. So situations involve like Vibro Knife, Ancient Lightsaber. The reason for Vibro Knife is because its base or modified would string into unblockable damage. So some guy has 3 health left, and you know, either shields and or force solutions, and you're like, man, I gotta like do a bunch of damage to get to him. But very nicely timed Swiftness into a Concentrate, and you can, you know, turn Qui-Gon's base die into a 2, then flip Vibro into a +2, and blam, you just go and resolve it because you have the additional ambush action, and voila, guys off the table. Shield didn't block nothing, force solution did nothing. So in general, like the small combo for that is very, very nice. And Concentrate also works with force speed, which I believe was also in the deck. And so Concentrate in general between those 2 cards allows you for a lot of sneaky kills, because a lot of the time in higher play where we're trying to kind of control the actions so that we know, okay, we can go claim now, or it's going to be 3 actions before claim. So I'm going to do this die, he's going to do that die, I'm going to claim. Or I'll do this die, he'll do that die. Now the option here is I can do this die, but he might skip his other die and then claim, or whatever's going on. And any action cheat goes and kind of throws that out of whack, because it could be something simple like Kanan's on a focus side, and you have a force speed. It's like, alright, well, if you force speed, then re-roll your dice, not the Kanan, then you could Kanan trigger flip into like 5, 7, whatever's going on, because Ancient's switching to a 3 is very huge. You get big chunks of damage out of that. 4 and 5 is half health for characters. So doing it off of a Concentrate also makes it very scary. And then the other thing it allows you to do is Swiftness could work with any of the other more like damage reach cards. So you could essentially, like, you know, Swiftness into a Caution, then Riposte. I don't think they ran Riposte though, but they did have Synchronicity. So you could Swiftness into a Synchronicity to deal 2, then resolve a 2 when the guy had 4 health, and they thought they were pretty safe. It, you know, to remove dice off the table this way by killing a guy, I love it. My preferred style is to kill a guy to take their dice and upgrades off the table, and being able to do this without your opponent interacting is a huge merit. So kudos to them on that. They also ran Trust the Force. So if you're looking over the list, like, you may even like not notice it, thinking it's like, you know, use the Force or something, but it's not. So Trust the Force is relatively speaking, a very questionable card on its own. But in the right circumstances, it becomes a kind of like a meta breaker. So they're playing a mono blue deck. So almost every die they have is blue except for, I think, Vibro Knife. And now the meta was also predominantly blue. So Qui-Gon Canons, R2-P2s, that's a whole lot of blue dice. You run into any of some of the other stuff like whatever, blue villain decks, blah, blah, blah. You're like, oh, okay, whatever. And, Ancients are highly played, Shotos, yada, yada. So what it does is the zero cost event that says you can re-roll any number of blue dice, yours and your opponent's. So you could re-roll your bad dice and then re-roll their good dice. And now normally you're like, yeah, but it's just a re-roll. Like, I could discard a card to re-roll my own dice. The thing is, it's kind of Clash-esque in that because you're fixing yours and messing with theirs, it becomes very hard for them to then go and fix theirs. And like while stopping yours in efficiency, especially with based on the number of cards in hand. So, if they want to cast abuse removal on yours, they remove yours. Now they have to re-roll. Now they have to try to resolve, assuming that they rolled okay. So it's kind of like a sound the alarm, whilst also fixing your own dice, which in theory sounds great. Like, the card by itself would have been pretty terrible, but in the current circumstances, that's a great choice. Now, if you combine this with swiftness, it changes things immensely. So they would be able to swiftness, trust the force, fix their dice, and now they're capable of resolving them. The other thing they do is they're messing up their opponent's dice. They're setting them back, but it also sets them up for better options for removal. So let's take this for instance. My opponent's rolled out. He's got Ancient and Shoto and raised dice or Qui-Gon. Any of those dice that pretty much are going to show up like melee or shields. Now, if I swiftness into Trust the Force, I can have them re-roll the dice that missed damage while I'm fixing my dice that missed damage. Now, any of the new ones that'll hit damage, now I can just be like, oh, force misdirection, take all of your damage out. So they can do some crazy strings to then do like mini board wipes, or into guards. So they could be like, all right, well, let me swiftness into a synchronicity to deal 2. Now I'll cast guard to remove whatever, because I only had that one melee die. Or swiftness into Trust the Force, refix my dice. Okay, cool. Now I finally got that 3 off of freaking Raise Saber because it didn't want to show up. Now I'll guard away your dice. So there's a lot of different interactions that become crazy viable at the cost of 1 based on swiftness. So it's not, I wouldn't say it carries the deck. What it does is it connects the deck to be much stronger. So swiftness has always been a weird card. The dilemma's always been, is that action worth the 1 resource? And in these scenarios of what the current meta was showing, it seems apparently it was. It's very worth it in those. It's worth it when you're going to go aim on Palpatine's die, flip it to a 3, resolve the 3, now I've dealt 5. When your opponent thought they were safe, when their guy had 3 health left. There will always be times like this, because we're playing a card game, and because doing certain amounts of damage will go and remove dice from the table, that means that your damage could essentially become the equivalent to removal when you've done enough. So things like swiftness and to concentrate, whilst they reduce slots in your deck for like mitigation overall, because you're getting more consistent damage out in sneaky setups, you can pretty much just like knock a guy off the table with all of his upgrades, especially when they don't have redeploy, which is what the current format kind of looks like, and blow somebody out. Everything looks honky-dory until someone's swiftness concentrates instead of playing a weapon that round, and then their Qui-Gon just hit you for like 7 unblockable because they hit one of either the +3, the +2 on Vibro, or like a Qui-Gon base, and then swiftness concentrated the other ones into damage. And then you're like, oh, your guy that had like 2 shields and a Force Illusion and 5 health looks super safe, and now they're dead. So that's one of the things that's really interesting, because the way to dictate like the gameplay as far as concerned is normally you want them to hit one of your guys, and now you start to shield that guy up and put Force Illusion on it because they've already dedicated some damage to it. Whereas, like, imagine you're playing against a 2-character deck, they both have 11 health, and now your opponent cautions one of their characters. They have 3 shields on their character, so now you're looking at 14 versus 11. Would it make sense to just go kill the guy with the 11? What if now, you know, it's 3 shields and a Force Illusion? Like, that's like 16 health. It makes sense to just go kill the 11 health guy, and then you'll, you know, because their dice are removed, you can deal with the other guy after. But the better way to play is normally take like 3-4 damage, now put shields on the guy. So now they're back at full health. They have to decide whether they want to go through the shields, and any subsequent shields you can keep putting on them and Force Illusions. And they're kind of more dedicated. They can switch targets, but that's their choice at that point. And then maybe that's the guy you wanted to protect, and now you've done your job. But sneaky, unblockable tricks through damage can kind of obliterate that whole theory, because now, because you didn't feel medic and you thought you had you know, an action or two before they got there, your guy's off the table, you're sitting there with like dead cards, and you're really far behind. So kudos to those guys. I don't know what the breakdown was for how they won or lost, but I was told that the finals was 2 R2P2s. So maybe just that matchup in general may have seemed great, but once you get down to like the end, maybe there's some luck, maybe there's some you know, just stronger play. Who knows? It could just be that the deck causes problems because handcrafted light bow, you know, can rip shields apart from them, and they're both running guards and force misdirections. So whoever gets out first can cause more dilemmas in that match. So it's a bit unknown for me as far as how that went down. But that's the breakdown of the Qui-Gon Kanan deck. Very cool stuff. Give those guys props for the ingenuity. At PAX South, I talked about it before when I talked about new decks in town. I talked about the 4-guy hero wide that has very good matches against like R2P2. And then the second deck was a deck you probably heard about now, which is called essentially the 7th Sister OTK. So the first thing is it doesn't really kill in one turn. OTK has kind of always been that thing that's been used for combo decks where they could kill you in one turn, but in most situations it was normally like round 1 set up, round 2 do like half your damage, or you know, half damage, then round 3 like kill you. That's how most games would end up going. Like, there are going to be those rounds where someone loses their entire board round 1 because someone hit like the like aftermath, ID9, price of failure, boundless ambition, like nut job, and like rolled crazy. Because then they set up boundless. Oh look, cool, it's a leadership. You know, untap again, do stuff, feint, blah blah blah. And now you've just lost every single guy, and you're just staring at the board like, did this happen? But it involves 7th Sister, and the current configuration uses Sienna and then a yellow character. I prefer Guavian, some people use Bala, it's whatever. And it's like price of failure, leadership. Feints go in and out for my versions because looking for consistency and efficiency. But pretty much you're going to use a loaded up 7th Sister multiple times in a round, and have like 3 or 4 ID9 droid dice out to kind of like wreck and focus and like, you know, discard their hand or whatever, and then just go and take guys off the table. But was planning to keep it secret, but it was one of those things that built on the Discord channel, and we had some guys go out at PAX South. I don't know what the specifics were between like how the deck list was either shared with the other people or if they saw it on stream and made their own options. But it was a good showing. Like day one, the 2 guys that I knew of that were playing it went 5-1 and 4-2. Day 2, I believe Justin Strickland went 6-0. He's not a part of the Discord group. I've seen him visit the rooms. I've played with him several times. Very solid player. So I don't have the exact list they were using, but if it was the one I shared with the Loops Discord, then I'd assume it was close to, very, very close to that one. If anyone's wondering, I didn't sit there and like create the entire deck on my own. We had Rebel Trooper kind of piloting the like Stormtrooper. It was like, I think it was like Stormtrooper, Wavian. Okay, exactly. I don't recall the full setup, but it was kind of using Royal Guards to protect the Seventh Sister, so that when he could like get longer into the games, but it didn't run leadership. So I chose to do leadership thing because leadership was just a better price of failure, and we didn't set ourselves back immensely, solely at the cost of one, and losing I think like that one additional point, because I think the new version was supposed to be like Pig plus Battle Droid, and I can't recall what the other version. I can't remember his initial setup, but it was the non-leadership version. But it doesn't really matter. I'm just trying to break it down and explain it. So that deck's out in the woodworks a bit. There's going to be a bunch of people trying to play it. The way I would say it is, anyone that is very accustomed to combo decks should have a relatively easy time piloting that one. Other players, not so much. If everyone, let's say, picked up that deck, I'd probably say only a very small percentage, like in the single-digit points of people, could play it efficiently. It involves like understanding, you know, when to switch targets, like which target you should go for. Do you go for the combo now? Do you not go for the combo now? Can I make them play into the cards that I have? Yada yada. And there's a lot of like efficiency that has to be done with the deck. So it can have a high skill cap. Like the way I would say it is it was akin to like early stage Rainbow Nines, where in most people's perspective, they played it, they just couldn't play it well because they didn't understand how to use it efficiently. Sure, anybody could sit up there and win via hitting, you know, very good rolls and untapping her, you know, 3 times in a round, but being able to correctly do the sub steps is gonna, or the steps in general to get there, are gonna be very hard. But so yeah, Justin Strickland ended up getting his world seat at PAX South day 2. I want to say day 1 and day 3 may have been R2P2s getting their seats. I believe that's what I was told. But congrats to all those guys. Now in Kansas was a bit of a different story. I don't have the exact breakdown, but if I'm correct, going into Top Cut, first seed should have been the 4-wide vehicle hero deck. And then I want to say it was like R2P2, and then there were 2 Rainbow 5 decks, and then probably some Qui-Gon cannons. There may have been a Palpatine. Sorry guys, I can't recall all the information. It wasn't as easy as the other one. But the end result was Qui-Gon Canon ended up winning. I cannot remember the person's name, but I believe it was said that they were 13 years old. So kudos, kid. Good job. And taking Qui-Gon Canon there, and you know, getting Qui-Gon Canon that regionals win. I think it was like somewhere between 48 and 52 people. So very, very high quality effort by all these people. But yeah, stealing one from R2P2 always sounds great to me. So I don't know what the top 8 breakdown ended up doing. I'd assume 4-wide ended up running into Bala maybe, and then fell apart, because I think versus Qui-Gon Canon and R2P2 they might have had a positive matchup because they just had so much health, but Bala team would just could like ravage the 4-wide. But also proud of you, Rainbow 5 people, still going strong with the deck. Proud father, baby. It's like proud father. Oh. But you probably won't be seeing us post the Hyperloop specific 7th Sister deck, because that one's pretty much Patreon exclusive. But if you search far and wide, you can probably see the initial version that was played in the Blizzard stream from like a couple weeks back or early this month. And I know a couple people have like reverse engineered it from there. But there were some interesting changes that were made all over the place, and we'll kind of just see how that goes. But yeah, so expect 7th Sister OTK to start popping up, and in like EAW regionals, and see if they can try to steal from R2P2. But the match still isn't very easy, so being as a new deck and having low reps could be very tough. And then I expect Qui-Gon Kanan to, or I expect decks in general to potentially adopt the swiftness concentrate setup, because Stress Force works in the 7th OTK match as well. It could cause issues against like the 4-wide thing, because they're not actually playing blue, so some of the cards become more dead, and it's just like sucks. But we'll see how that goes. So yeah, pretty much stay tuned. The Legacy meta with top 64 just started, or I think it was top 68 technically, but those decks got locked in Saturday night, and we'll start seeing or hearing from some cool decks already. The Hyperloop's Discord is very, very large, so I think we have something like 20 players in that top cut, so we're already seeing a lot of the deck lists. And I gotta say, man, there's some definitely interesting stuff. So like some of the combos are like, you know, Zeb Yoda, people would know that, but there's just like Kylo 2 Mother Talzin, you know, crazy stuff. Decks running like 28 odd cards, or 28 cards with an odd cost. So that Mother Talzin effect is just on point. There is Qui-Gon Yodas, Zeb Yodas, you know, Yodas, Ayla, like Padawans, or Jedi Temple Guards, blah blah blah. So lots of blue decks all over the place. Our main group has gone all in with 7th OTK, so we'll kind of see how we end up doing. Stuff can be kind of tough because the meta is very fresh. Playing a combo deck in a fresh meta can be amazing or god-awful, depending on what's going on, because none of us want to see hand control cards. Like, we don't want to run into Jabbas, but you're going to see lots of, like, Tarkin 7th. I believe Tarkin 7th also just won the constructed event for Artificery that just happened this past weekend as well. So, lots of interesting things going on. Trying to think what else is there, if there's any other news. Nah, that's pretty much it. You know, a lot of people have their Legacies cards, so that's great. Yoda's up in price, probably rightfully so, because he does he sets up for some silly stuff, but he pretty much immediately makes your deck start off slow. But that's fine, because unless you're playing against like a high damage aggro deck, sorry, I'll just wait for it to stop shaking. Like, you're usually given enough time, and then you can recover after, just because of your influx of like resources and additional shields and whatnot. So we'll definitely see how that goes. There's the new and like, here's the problem, like, you can no longer use Rainbow 5 as like a name, because there's like 18 Rainbow 5 decks now. So like last set, you know, Rainbow 5 was pretty much if it was a damage oriented one, you know, pretty much Bala, Sienna, and then whatever guy's the last one, and Night Sister pretty much for Rainbow. But now, like, I could go Rainbow Ayla. In the stream I played Ayla plus Rose Elite, they're both Elite, and then a 7-point guy. So if you go Ezra, it's Rainbow. If you go Rookie Pilot, you're not Rainbow, but it's Rookie Pilot, whatever. So lots of interesting things there. There's also a new Rainbow 5 with Mother Talzin, Bala Talzin, 4-starter Stormtrooper. So now you have more base sides. You have a cool trick from Mother Talzin. You lose the cool trick from Night Sister, but Stormtrooper dies very strong. So we'll just kind of see where all these things take us, and that's my meta wrap-up. I believe that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. There'll be an infusion of spot gloss cards due to PAX South, but it doesn't seem like a bunch of them are popping up like it did for PAX Unplugged. I think people have decided to get their spot gloss and decide to keep them. So if you're interested in the spot gloss and you didn't get one before and you're not going to be able to get one, definitely start checking around now. You're going to see people sprout up with them. I think I've sold a couple for about $1.80 right now from the ones I had before. I just kind of want to get rid of them because I'm going to PAX East, so I'll be able to get some more there. But that's the gist of today's wrap-up. Sorry, I like to drag on. My apologies. I don't want to, like, miss something and then be like, oh, I forgot this. Sorry, guys. New deck-wise for EAW, I think that's pretty much it. Whoa. Some people are crazy. Alright, yeah, I'm crazy too. Shh. I'm talking to you guys while driving, for Christ's sakes. But yeah, no, that's my meta wrap-up. This is Hyperloop out. Honest Sarcastic. You guys have a great day. You know, feel free to stop by. Say hi. Tell us you love us. Tell us you hate us. Tell us why. Just tell us. Talk to us. Alright, Hyperloop out. Peace out, baby.